Hey everybody, Jason and Rachel here with the Real Estate Investing Blueprint Podcast. We are super excited about today. We've got a good friend of ours. We've done business together. He's helped us coach people. And I just think he's an overall beast in business and real estate. So Jason Lund, welcome, brother. Thanks for coming.
Man.
Thanks for being here, man. You've been an inspiration to a lot of to me, to Rachel, to a lot of the people in our coaching community. And I don't know, man, you're somebody that from the very beginning that I've seen, it's like one of the things that you stick out to me for is you're just kind of like beast mode all the time. Like, if this is what we want, we're going to go fucking get it. And that's the way that it is. And because of that, it is that way. I mean, I'm not saying that shit falls from the sky, because I know that it doesn't, but you decide that you're going to go get something and then you go get it. And it's not I got to think about it or maybe, or I wonder if this is going to work or not. Yeah.
Massive action at all times.
And I think, you did a 8-week coaching thing for our group a couple of times. And that was one of the things that everybody loved about that is you were like, do it. You know what I mean? And it wasn't, I think a lot of times people get so caught up in the how that they forget to do. And that they don't do, and you're a lot like me in that aspect of just tell me where we're going and we'll jump and we'll figure it out. You know what I mean? We'll figure it out on the way. I don't need to figure it out before I leave. But that's definitely something that you stick out to me, and so I'm happy that you're here today, because I think
Absolutely.
You bring enormous amount of value to everybody in the community. People that are doing really well with real estate investing, but they want to level up their game, and to people who are just getting started, kind of the kick in the ass, get freaking busy attitude that can help. So let's, want to kind of jump into things?
Yeah.
All right. So if you don't mind, man, so that everybody can kind of get to those that don't know you, can get to know you a little bit. How did you come into this? You're a full-time real estate investor. Tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of how you ended up in the real estate world, period.
Well, I guess it's my story kind of started is that we were flipping motorcycles, four-wheelers, boats, doing all that stuff on top of a full-time job. And I was looking at it and I was getting frustrated with it because, it was a good side hustle, a good side income that was coming in, but it was never enough. And it was never enough to make it worth it, where it's like, man, I got to run around and I got to leave my family and go do this at 6 o'clock at night when we're supposed to be having dinner together to go pick up a $20 motorcycle part that I'm going to make $5 on it. You know what I mean? It just, it really sucked. And that kind of was my beginning in I guess I call my hustle. And then I just looked at it and I started talking around, and I started in 2010. So we just got done with a recession, and it was on its way back up. And that's when I got in, and I got around different people that were already doing flipping and some realtors, and they pointed me in the direction and said, hey man, you can do this too. And really no direction other than you just got to buy low, you got to sell high. It wasn't there was nothing there. So everything that I learned from buying low to selling high, I had to learn on my own. So I did have some construction skills that I had from when I was in high school and right after I got done with high school, with framing and doing some carpentry stuff. So a lot of the stuff came to me really easy, but it was still a big growth in that first part of it. But yeah, that's kind of how we started, and now we're here, and we're doing, I'm in a smaller market, but we're doing, anywhere from 40 to 60 houses a year, which is huge.
Yeah.
I don't mean to brag, but we had our biggest month in July. We had 15 closings.
Dude,
that's awesome.
Yeah, congratulations. That's freaking awesome.
So I mean, like I said, we grind, and you want to talk about massive action, man. That's what it is, and that's a lot of sleepless nights and a lot of stuff that came through. We had a lot of stuff that came through that was, had code violations on it or clouded titles that we had to uncloud. We had a lot of tricky financing deals that we had to do.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty crazy to do that much and have that many problems all together in 1 month. I've never experienced that ever before. Like every deal that we had was
problem. Yeah.
a nightmare. So
something was wrong. How do you, And I think there's so much to learn when things aren't going perfectly, right? Because sometimes, especially when you get as seasoned as what you are in this business, it's just regular months, right? And there might be, to some people, this could be a problem, but you've seen it before. So you're like, okay, we already know how to fix this. And this is just part of it. But how do you keep that drive when things do get difficult? Because that's where I see so many people encounter that one deal that isn't picture perfect. And then
they give up and quit.
Yeah. Well, but then it also consumes them. And so they don't go right on any more properties.
That's right.
They like almost shut the whole damn business down to just focus on this one problem deal. How do you protect yourself from that?
Well, number one is quit focusing on the money. And that's what the number one thing is with a lot of people. They're just like, you know what, I got to get this one deal because I'm going to make 10 grand. Quit focusing on it and focus on what the people, and talk to the people, bring other, that's why it's important to network and go to your REI meetings and go to different events, because now I've gone to a lot of events. Now, if I have something like that pops up, I have a whole slew of attorneys I can call. I have a whole slew of other investors that I can call and say, hey, this is the situation I'm in. How do I help me get through to it? And I do a lot of deals per year, but I still ask a lot of questions, and I still reach out to those attorneys. I still reach out to a lot of other investors that have a different skill set than I do, and I bring them in. It's very important to have a good network around you to be able to get through those things. And like I said, the big thing is quit focusing on the dollar sign, because that's usually what it is somebody is in a desperate mode and they're like, man, I don't know what I'm not going to be able to pay my mortgage next month if I don't close this $10,000 deal. And, they're so focused on the money, but they're missing everything else. They're not listening to what the people are saying. And those deals end up blowing up. And then they're in a spot where they can't pay their mortgage the next month. If they just slow down a little bit and, like I said, bring in other resources, people will help you. People are so afraid that hey, if I call Jason Roberts and have him help me with this deal, he's going to want a part of the deal. Well, even if he does want a part of the deal, big deal, bring him in, have him help you, because if you give away a little piece of that deal, it's better off than giving the whole deal away. You know what I mean? So you got to use your resources and bring people in.
Man, I thought you brought up such a good point about community, man. I remember when we had probably closed 20, 30, 40 deals at this point, and we weren't brand new. We weren't extremely seasoned, but we weren't brand new. And one day our title company called and said, hey, you guys are closing tomorrow at 9 o'clock. Well, we just noticed that you're making more than 20% profit on this deal. And, our title insurer doesn't allow that. And I'm like, what do you mean? We made more than 20% profit on the last 30 houses that we closed here with you. Why is this now a problem? Number one. Number two, why is it a problem 2 hours before closing? Like, it's 3 o'clock and we're closing at 9 a.m. the next morning. Why are we just now finding this out? And then come to find out, we had 4 or 5 more closings that month that were already scheduled, that those were over 20% profit too. And I remember freaking out in that instance, thinking, our business is over. We're gonna have to shut down. You know what I mean? Like, there's no we can't make profit on our flips anymore, then there's no sense in doing a flip. And I called a mentor of mine, and he's like, first thing out of his mouth is like, oh, calm down. This happens all the time. Call this title company, call that title company. Sometimes the insurers change their guidelines. All you need to do is do this and follow these few steps. And everything was fine. We didn't skip a beat. But man, if I didn't have those resources, if I didn't have, those connections like you talked about, I don't know what I would have done. I don't know what we would have done to figure that out. I think we would have probably thought that we just couldn't close them.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, and I think even to your point, sometimes when you're in this investing game and you don't have a lot of relationships, you feel very alone. Like, it can feel very isolated. And I think the more that you grow with that, although many of us sit in different markets, there's still so much knowledge to share back and forth. And, to your point, some people might want part of the deal, but most of us that are in this, it's that give back opportunity of like, oh, I had this happen to me 5 years ago, and this is what I did. Try this, this, and this. And if that doesn't work, let me know, because I maybe have somebody else that you can talk to that can, there's so much give back, I think, even amongst investors, even outside of the homeowners, that's just kind of that natural not working from that scarcity kind of mentality,
Yeah. I mean, there's millions of deals out there. I'm not the only real estate investor in my market. And I'm glad that there's so many other people out there that are doing it because, like I said, we've really changed our focus from the dollar signs to be able to help people. And, I can only help so many people. And it's great to see other investors in my market because they're able to help other people that I'm not able to help. So, like you said, it's all about, comes back to that network and being surrounded with other investors that, are willing to help each other out. And, they're not always looking for the handout and saying, hey, I want part of that deal that you're going to get because I know you're going to make this much money or whatever. It's hey, man, I'll help you out this time. Help me out some other time, and goes a long ways.
I think a big nugget that you just shared too, man, was focus on the people. Like focus on, look at every situation as what can I do to help this person? What can I do to help, to leave this person in a better place than where I found them, as opposed to how much money can I make on this deal? And don't get me wrong. We're all entrepreneurs. We all like nice things. I know you, I know myself. Like it's a challenge to us. We want to do better. We want to, you know what I mean? We want to top our revenue goals. We want to do more financially this year than we did last year. Like that's still something that's always going to be there. And I'm not saying that's wrong, but what Jason said was, he quit worrying. The money's going to be there if you do the job right. So quit focusing on the money.
And the bigger money is going to be there if you do your job right. Because the thing of it is if I come over to your house and I sit down and I talk to you and you are 100% comfortable with me and I do everything I tell you that I'm going to do, you know what I mean? The dollar signs are no longer there. It's, hey, the only reason why I don't want to sell is because I don't know where I'm going to go. Well, what's the objection? Okay, well, let's find you a place to go. Well, I don't really have a lot of money and I got some medical issues and I need this. And I could say, okay, well, what if I find you a place to go? What if I pay for your rent? What if I hire movers to move all of your stuff? You know what I mean? It completely breaks down the entire barrier and it doesn't become about the dollar sign anymore because they have a problem. And if I constantly, a lot of investors keep going over and they poke on the problem. They're like, well, you're going into foreclosure. If you don't work with me, you're going to lose your house. And I don't look at it that way. I go in there and say, hey, you're in foreclosure. Let's figure out what we can do to get you the next stage of your life. Let's worry about your house after we figure out the game plan for where you're going to go and what's going to happen. Because to me, that's the most important thing, because even if you do lose the house, if I sat there and went through all that stuff with you and helped you get to that next stage, you're a referral source for me. When you go to church, when you go to work, when you go to the hospital, when you go to anywhere, and somebody says, hey, I need to sell my house, I'm in a shitty spot, they're going to call me. They're not going to call somebody else. They're going to have all those other people that came there and they're like, yeah, all they did was want to try and buy my house for pennies on the dollar. Well, this other guy came and he didn't even talk about buying my house until we got all this other stuff figured out. And he gave me some directions. He hooked me up with some county caseworkers or whatever it may be to get me to where I needed to go. And then we looked at the house.
Yeah.
So,
well, and you're so
it goes
right.
a long ways.
It does. And I think that sometimes what gets us interested is money. Because I know that was absolutely kind of where we were at when we got into real estate investing. We were digging out of a really shitty financial situation.
That's kind of what I was going to ask him is I think some people would, I don't mean to cut you off, but I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
But I think some people are listening to this, they could potentially be saying, because I know that I was one of those people, you probably were at one point too. Some people might be saying, well, that's real effing easy for you to say, Lund. You closed 15 deals this month. You got money in the bank. Life is I'm not saying life's easy, but
it's good.
Life's good, man. I mean, you got a nice ass vacation house that you wrote a check and paid cash for. That costs more than most people's primary residence. I'm not bragging, or I'm not, I know that you're not that dude. I'm just saying that I think newer people could look at it and say, well, it's easy for you to say don't focus on the money because you got plenty of money. But how would you suggest that somebody, and I think this is where you're going anyway, but how do you suggest that somebody that's kind of in the beginning stages or getting started that isn't in your spot financially, how do they condition themselves to focus on the person first, even though they may really need that 10 grand? And we've all been there. I mean, I've been that salesperson when I was younger that I needed that commission check to eat, and you're exactly right, man. It shows through. People can smell that a mile away. And I think that people have to feel, we all hear the know, like, trust thing. And
that's exactly what it is.
Yep.
You have to walk into the situation, and they have to know you. So if you walk in there, you need to bring anything and everything so that they know you. So it's no different when, I mean, you look at normal sales. You don't go into a car dealership and they don't hand you a business card. They don't say, "Oh yeah, hi, I know you want to buy a car." No, they come out there and they're like, hey, what, Rachel, I know you're looking for a brand new SUV. Hey, let's take a look at this one. They start pulling out pamphlets. Let me go get a car. I'm going to pull it up here. You know what I mean? So like when you go on your seller appointment, you can't just show up with a folded up business card in your pocket and pull it out and unfold it and be like, "Oh, sorry, this is my last one left." You got to come out there and you got to come in like, we come in with credibility packets that tell about me, about my family, about our employees, everybody that has to do with our organization, including our title company. It's got testimonials. It's got, I mean, anything and everything. Questions once I leave, like what are closing costs if we don't discuss it? All of that stuff is all in there. So, like I said, they know I'm going to sit there and I'm going to talk to them like a normal person and not talk to them about money or talk to them about anything else. It's going to be a conversation. "Hey, Jason, what's going on? What got you into this situation? And you obviously called me to help you get out of the situation. Tell me your story." So they're going to like me because I ask them that question instead of going in and saying, "Hey, Jason, I'll give you $40,000 for this piece of shit house that you got. And I'm going to close on it in 3 days." Nobody wants that. That's because right. A lot of people can't close in 3 days. A lot of people can't close in 7 days, but you're very pushy. Then it's the same as going in the car dealership and saying, "Hey, Rachel, you don't have a choice, but you got to buy this, this particular SUV." I mean, you're going to shut down and you're going to say, "Get the hell out of here." Yep. And then trust is, when you're there, if you're talking to people, it's the same thing. Call the title company. "Hey, title company, I'm sitting here with Jason and we're talking about closing costs and how the whole title process works. Can you give them your perspective?" I have them on the phone, speakerphone. They're telling you, "Hey, if you have your old title policy, we can give you a discount on your closing. These are the different things we're going to send you. We're going to send you a mortgage payoff." But they give it that perspective from there. And then plus the title company knows me. So it's easy to gain trust that way because they're like, "Wow, the guy just picked up the phone and he called the title company and this went through." Yeah. It's no different. I could call the title company and then right after that I can call my attorney and I can say, "Hey, hey, Darren, I'm sitting here with Jason and he's got some questions because he's going through probate. Can you help him walk through the final steps that he needs to do to complete the probate?" Same thing. They instantly trust me. And I have these people that are on my side because I built that network. But, it kind of goes all the way back to the networking and having those people on your team. And then, just taking care of them because I've built that network with them. And like I said, we're not necessarily exchanging money, but Jason can have a conversation with my attorney and it's not going to cost him $300 or $400 an hour if you were to pick up the phone and call somebody else.
Yep. Yeah. Well, and I think what I was going to say is I think that the biggest thing is when you focus on the people, you become a part of the solution to their problem. And no one else really takes that approach with them. No one else took that time to really help them figure out, like, here's where you are, and now here's all the steps in between to get you where you ideally want to be at or need to be at or whatever the situation is. And that creates that relationship where there's not another investor coming in and outbidding you because your price had nothing to do with the decision that they made for you to be the buyer of their property. And I think for some, it takes that time of going to a few of these homeowner appointments and immersing yourself into this process for you to kind of experience that. But it's almost like an aha moment when you're like, man, stop talking about the house, right? Stop talking about that. What's really the problem? And when you shift that focus, it's a game changer on every homeowner appointment that you do, every conversation that you have from that point going forward. It's a completely different approach that very few take because everyone thinks that the money is the motivation. Yeah. And that doesn't always solve the problem.
Yeah, that's the thing. Within your marketing, with your direct marketing, your mail marketing, whatever else it is, you do have to focus on the problem because it's hey, Jason, I know your house is going into foreclosure. You have to focus on that. But when you get into the seller appointment, you have to leave the problem outside because now it's they've contacted me. Now I'm here to find the solution to that problem.
Absolutely.
And it's not worth it to bring up in that appointment, hey Jason, you're going into foreclosure, you're going into foreclosure, and a lot of people constantly bring that up.
Yeah.
And that's what their downfall is. And then you look at these deals and you're like, man, like, you couldn't get a better deal, or did you talk to these people? And they'll go back and renegotiate because they realize afterwards that the numbers don't work, or they didn't come back and they didn't solve that person's problem. They just came and said they basically put a Band-Aid over it, and the people thought it was going to be okay, and that's not what they needed.
Yeah, you're right, man. I think it's good to stir the problem up a little bit, like you said. That I mean, you can address it briefly, but you're right. So many people just keep pushing on it from a place of fear, and I think a really good salesperson will bring it up and stir up the emotion a little bit, right? Because we want them in the emotional state to they do need to know that if you do nothing, your house is going to go into foreclosure. But let's talk about the solution. Let's talk about how to fix this. Let's talk about what options are, how we can get the sale date stopped, how we might be able to get it postponed, how we can maybe keep you in the house for another 3 to 6 months. Like, let's focus on the solution, like you said, not fear from the problem itself. And I think that goes back into your saying that you focus first on what you can do to help them and make the emphasis on them. Because if you're truly thinking about what you can do to help them, then you're focused on their needs, not your own needs. You're focused on theirs. It's empathy, right? You're putting yourself in their shoes and saying, yeah, if I was them, how would I be feeling right now? And what would help me? And you're
exactly. And that's like where we take it. I mean, I can't say I've had the best life. I mean, we've been through financial struggles. We've had all sorts of different things, and I mean, I had to file bankruptcy a long time ago, and, it's not one of my prouder moments, but, I didn't have a choice. It was medical related. It wasn't that I racked up a bunch of credit cards and said I couldn't do it. I mean, I got hurt and I was out of work for 6-7 months. I had no choice, to do it, so I've been there. So when I do go into appointments, it makes it so much more easier because I can relate to them and just be like, hey, you know what? I know it sucks. I hate to tell people that happened to me, but it's part of my story. And if I don't share that, or if I don't share those experiences with other people, I'm not doing what, God sent me here to do. I'm here to help people. Number one, that's our main focus on everything. I mean, our slogan for our company is buying problems and selling solutions.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, I love that too. It is.
I mean, we have shirts made. I mean, it goes on everything, and literally that's what our main focus is on when we're dealing with sellers.
Well, and I think I know the answer to this, just knowing you for as long as we have, and being in a mastermind group with you. You were always someone in that group that, in a healthy competition though, you are so conditioned to always be taking action, and not just, I did a little bit here or I did a little bit there, but just like massive action. And it's like, what is it?
And not excuses either. Like he's the last guy that shows up and makes an excuse as to why something didn't get done. I think, you know what I mean?
Yeah. But I think that's an area where a lot of people struggle. And for me, I know being in that mastermind years ago, because, we were all really building these businesses that we have here today that we're still leveling up, but we were really all in this huge growth period. But that like healthy competition is what kept me crushing and grinding and hustling every day, because it was like, I want to come back in 4 months and be like, look at this, you know what I mean? Look, and be proud of what you did. We're proud of each other and all that stuff. But how do you keep yourself there? Like I know for you guys, it's such an emphasis on the people and really helping and serving, because that's what you're really meant here to do. But what would be your advice to those out there, those listening that like struggle with staying, they got a couple good days where they did everything they were supposed to do, and then life hits and they fall back off again? How do they keep that momentum going?
The big thing, man, is how bad do you want it? How bad do you want to change your life? It's no doubt. I'm overweight. I mean, it's real. I mean, it should be a priority of me to lose weight, but it's not my main focus right now. And I don't put that energy into that. You know what I mean? So my main focus right now is to help as many people as I possibly can. So when I do that stuff, it is laser focused, and it is how bad do I want it? I like nice stuff. I mean, we were just talking about side-by-sides and boats. I mean, we just bought a brand new pontoon boat that's more than most people's houses. You know, I mean, not to say it again to brag, but I mean, I like nice stuff. And the only way I can get nice stuff is if I freaking bust my ass, and I like to provide. You know, I grew up in a childhood that I didn't have a lot of nice stuff. If I wanted a new bike, you know what my parents said, we're not buying you a bike. You know, you got to go deliver papers, or you got to go do this. You know what I mean? And I saved $5 a week until I had enough to buy a bike. And usually I started in the spring, and it was the fall. And then it was like, well, this sucks. I got a brand new bike and I got to put it in the garage. You know, you know, so a lot of that for me is, you know, it's like, how bad do I want it? Do I want a new boat? Well, you know what? I really need to bust my ass, and I need to put in that overtime so I can do it, so that I'm not going into debt. And I'm not making a financial burden on my family by making that decision to do that. Yep. It literally comes down to how bad do you want it. You know what I mean?
Exactly right.
You know,
for somebody, I mean, yeah, life does get in the way, and life gets in the way for me too, but you cannot lose focus on it. If I say, hey, this is what I'm going to do, and if I fumble for a day or two, that's totally fine. I can pick it up right afterwards and get right back after it. And a lot of people don't, you know, they look at this business and they say, hey, you know, I want to do it so I can get a Lamborghini, and I want to get this and I want to get that. You know, those aren't good enough reasons. Yeah. You know, I mean, you know, I would love a Lamborghini, but for me, it's completely not practical. It's not something that I would want to. I'd rather have something like I said, we just bought a brand new boat. I can fit 14 people on that thing, and that to me is what it's all about. Going out, hanging out, enjoying life, and, you know, having a blast with everybody, not sitting in a Lamborghini car that I'm going to be scrunched down in because I'm a big guy. And, you know, I mean, forget that. You know, I don't need to be a show off on that stuff. For me, it's being around family and being around friends and building those relationships. So that's what makes this work really hard.
I love that. Man. And so I think we kind of do this exercise at our boot camp, but it's really like digging down to what's that driving force, what's that motivation, what's the why, how bad do you want it, and are you truly committed to doing whatever it takes in order to make that happen? And that's something that you just do on a daily. And I think for many of us, you know, people listening don't know this, but we all travel, we vacation together, we go create experiences together. And as you immerse yourself in this business, some of the friends that you have, they're still your friends, but they can't go do the cool shit because they got to be at work on Monday.
Because they don't have the money or the time.
We'll meet up on a Monday, and we're going to hang out till Sunday doing whatever and have the best time doing it. And that's what, at the end of the day, it's really about, like, because it's your kids see that. You're providing for the family. You're enjoying every single day instead of being in that grind where you're working for someday you'll have those freedoms and experience all of this.
But you had to make a decision somewhere along the way to say, this is how I want my life to look. Like, these are my priorities, right? This is what's important to me. And I'm going to go freaking make it happen. I'm going to go figure out a way to do that. And I know for us in the past, like, we enjoy the same things now that we would have enjoyed 20 years ago. The difference in 20 years ago when we had the mortgage company and we were slaves to it is I don't think we ever really stopped to say, what do we want our life to look like now? You know, we always subscribe to that. If I grind really, really hard right now, then someday I can have this life that I want. And it was out of balance. You know, it was, I don't know, man. We all kind of got a clear idea of, like, why does it have to be someday? Why can't it be today? Why can't it be today? Like, why can't I pay off my house and pay off my cars and become debt free and then make money to buy the things that I want and live life on purpose in my way, man. And you and Sarah have done that, and it's certainly an inspiration to everybody. Talk a little bit about 15 freaking deals, dude. Number one, congratulations. Number two, like, for everybody that's listening, I mean, let's put ourselves in their shoes. The majority of the people listening are probably thinking 15 deals in a month. I'd be ecstatic doing 15 deals in a year. So that's one mindset. There's probably some people on the call that are doing 5, 6, 7 deals a month consistently every month, and they're wanting that 15 closing month. I'm not saying give away your secrets or anything else, but kind of tell everybody, like, where did 15 deals, is that they come from probates? Do they come from pre-foreclosures.
It came from all over.
Yeah.
We had a couple that were foreclosures. We had a couple that were probates. I mean, people that just saw our name, random places like, and the bathrooms here in Wisconsin, they have like frames where they have advertisements for businesses on there. Like we just stick our business cards in those things. So, I mean, we, anytime we go somewhere, I don't have a pen on me right now, but we had custom pens made up.
Yeah.
So, I mean, people know us from all over the place, or people will tag us on Facebook if somebody's selling a house or whatever. But those deals all came from all over. And it's a little different when I talk to people, or if I'm coaching people from different markets. Like my market's so small that we can mail all the probates every single day. We can mail all the foreclosures every single day. We can mail all the evictions every single day. We can do the divorces every single day. We can do the tax foreclosures. We can do all of that on a daily basis, because our mail is so small. It's not like we're in a large market where we're like, hey, the probates came out and there's 600 of them.
Yeah, right.
It's really hard to do that. So like for us, I mean, we have to be very diverse in our marketing, but that's how we came across all those deals. And our biggest thing to date though is still referrals. We get more referrals than we do on anything, even over our direct mail, our Facebook ads, or any of our online advertising all comes through is referrals.
So that in itself speaks to your character and who you guys are and what you're doing in your community. Like that, you know what I'm saying? Referrals, your biggest compliment. That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
So how did you, if that's your biggest thing, if that's where the majority of your deals come from, I would imagine that when you started this back in 2010, referrals probably wasn't your big, I mean, that's something you have to build right over time. That's not something that you send out a mailer campaign and you got 20 referral partners that are sending you deals every month.
Yeah.
How does somebody cultivate a business or those type of, somebody new, how do they cultivate those type of referral? How did you do it? How did you go from never having a real estate deal referred to you ever in your life to now saying that in a 15 deal month closing, the majority of them came from referrals? How do you go from that into the something?
So our big thing a few years ago, we said, hey, we got to get rid of kind of the mom and pop image of a company, and we need to really brand ourselves as a company and do all of the things like a big company would do. So that's kind of where it started. So with, like I said, apparel, hats and shirts and things like that, business cards. And I made business cards. Sarah's got business cards. Our employees have business cards. So anywhere they would go, they'd always stick their stuff all over the place. Pens, my favorite thing to do is when I go to the bank, which is a lot, I take their pen out and I take my pen and I put it in there. And everybody else that's coming through there is going to see that pen. They're going to look at it and they're like, this isn't normally the Nicolay Bank pen. This is,
I like
my pen.
that.
So it's just doing stuff like that. And you change it. It kind of, people always say it is, you change it from this business as a hobby and you change it to an actual business. When you change it to an actual business, like you said, you go places, you talk to different people. I mean, for us, we do have a vacation house. It's the same thing out there, and that's in a small town 20 minutes away from my house. But we're out there, and a lot of people out there are like, man, what do you guys do? Like, you're hanging out with all these old retired people.
Yeah, you're hanging out all the time.
It's you're going out and having a couple of beers on a Monday afternoon for lunch, and talking with these other people, and they're like, what do you do? So it's the same thing, but that's where we get private lenders from, because they're like, hey, what are you doing? Oh, I'm retired. I thought about doing that once, and it just opens up that conversation. And like I said, and you just start talking to people, and those people are going to go to, like I said before, go to church and go to all the different things that they have. And they're going to hear somebody say something about that. And they're going to be like, oh, hey, I actually met this guy last week in town, and he has a house out here, not far from ours. Let's give him a call and see what we can do.
Yeah.
So it's nice to get a break away from real estate, but it's also, like I said, I mean, I enjoy those conversations because, I may not directly helping that person, but that person's going to help me help a lot more people.
Love that.
So man, we're running short on time. I want to ask you one last question, if it's okay with you. If your business just got wiped off the face of the earth, And I mean, you woke up in the morning and your company was gone, your business was gone, there was no data, no leads, no nothing. And you had to make 50 grand in the next 30 days in real estate. What would you do? What would you like? And I guess I could re-ask that question. Like, what's working best for you marketing wise right now? Or for the people that are listening that still haven't done their first deal, or maybe they've done a bunch of deals, but they want to add something new. Like what's something, if somebody wants to get a deal that pays them 30 or 40 grand in the next 30 days, what do you think is the fastest, easiest, do this, it works?
I got to think about that one for a second.
Well, and I think it's like,
I mean, nobody's ever really asked me that, and I've never been in a situation, so not to, go off the cuff or anything, but I mean, it's hard to think when, I mean, majority of our business stuff that we do is our follow-ups and our follow-up campaigns. It's not what's going to happen. I mean, it's hard, I mean, it's easier for me to tell somebody else like, hey, you're just getting started in this, Jason, you need to go out and you need to find this person, this person, this person, this person, and this person, and start cultivating those relationships and get it going. So,
well, and maybe that's the, maybe that's the answer. I think about it from our standpoint, like if we had to come up with 50 grand in the next 30 days or we were going to lose everything, I would probably, I'd
start pulling data. And
I'd probably get a probate list. I'd probably get whatever. I'd send it off to the skip trace.
You said without pulling data or anything else.
No. I meant, did I say that?
I don't know what you said, but I think.
Yeah, you said if your business shut down tomorrow, there was no data, there was no.
I got you. I apologize.
So I was like, I don't know how to.
Yeah, right.
I think a better question is if we were to pick you up from the market that you're in right now.
I meant like you didn't have your team, your staff, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
drop you off in a completely different market. What are the first things you're doing to start building a business? Oh
yeah, I mean that's pretty easy.
Get money,
Yeah, the number one thing I would do is I would tell you to drop me off at the courthouse, and I would spend time there, and I would talk to the people at the Register of Deeds. I would talk to your county treasurers. I would talk to your building inspectors. I mean, I can take care of a lot of stuff in this business in one building. Like I said, the inspectors, the treasurer, the Register of Deeds, the recorder's office, any of those things that come through that's going to tell me, okay, there's code violations on this. Oh, there's a tax delinquent thing that's here. The Register of Deeds. Oh, hey, this got transferred via quitclaim deed. Well, why did it get transferred via quitclaim deed? What was the amount on that quitclaim deed? Was it a $10 transfer or was it an actual, hey, here's a $50,000 transfer of a quitclaim deed on a house that's worth 50 grand. All of that stuff you can literally get right there, and you'd be actually surprised when you go into those places. Not all of them are really mean. You can actually find some really cool people that are there.
Yeah.
And usually if you can build a relationship with one person in that department, they'll make connections for you to all the other departments, because you're in there and they're going to say, hey, they're going to ask you questions like, hey, what do you got going on? Or why are you looking for code violation information? And then you just say, hey, I'm a real estate investor and I want to be able to help people. I want to better my community. And, by getting this information from you, it's going to help me do that, and I want to be legal and everything else. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to buy permits from you. It's going to, boost up your revenue from your department. And, it's going to make you look better too by working with me.
Yep.
So you just build those relationships with those people. And like I said, I mean, you'd be surprised. I mean, like I said, our one of our big referral sources is the counties. We work a lot really closely with the county treasurers. So when there's a house that's going into tax foreclosure, somebody calls and just says, hey, I don't want to have my house anymore, and I'll let the county take it. Well, the county's not in the business of owning houses. Yeah. They're in the business of getting taxes. Yeah. So they just turn around, they transfer our number to those people. You know what I mean? But those relationships were built by us going in there and sitting in that office and saying, hey, this is what we want to do, and telling them. So
that's great advice too, because that's where it all starts. Some people, we've had so many different answers. That's the first time. And I think that's probably one of my favorite, because I instantly would go to the data. Like, where is this at? Where do I get my hands on a ton of information? And to me, I'm thinking I'm going online, but you're exactly right, because I'm going to the courthouse, because not only am I going to get the data, I'm going to start building relationships and rapport and start making connections
Yep.
at the people who are really immersed into this community. Like that, I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah, and the cool thing is too, that stuff spider webs too. So like you go in
Yes.
there and you're talking to somebody at the Register of Deeds, and you're pulling up probates. You know, that person may have a really good relationship with an attorney and be like, yeah, you should know, such and such, because they actually come in here and they file probably the most probates out of everything. Oh, cool. You know, can you connect me with that person? Like I said, and it just spider webs off of there. So from out of that building, you're now connected with an attorney. That attorney can connect you with other people. You know what I mean? So it's you got to get out there and meet people.
That's awesome, man. Well, thank you so much, brother. This has been a really cool episode. I'm glad that, thank you for giving your time, taking some time away from your business and your family to share with people. How do people find you, man? How do people follow you? And you guys should absolutely find, I mean, one of the things that is always a motivator for me is you're constantly checking in at the title company and posting a picture of a check. And to me, that's always an inspirational thing, man.
Yes.
I mean, that's what, when I first started in real estate investing, that's what motivated me more than anything, is I went to this little small meeting every 2 weeks, and these people would bring in checks, you know, and one guy would bring in a $70,000 check, one guy would bring in, and I hadn't done a deal yet. And I remember thinking to myself, like, man, if them people can get a check, surely I can too. You know, I mean, it was a good thing for my psychology. And I think you're doing that. You're doing a whole lot more than that, but that's, I know that it feels braggy to do it, and I'm so happy that you do, because it's not braggy.
It's inspiring.
It's inspiring, and it's shining a light for other people to say, man, that guy had it tough too, and so did I, but he figured it out. Man, maybe I can figure it out too. You know? Yeah,
for sure.
So how do people find you? How can they follow you?
You can find me on Facebook, Jason Lund. I'm on there, and or if you want, you can. Our website is doyouneedtosellfast.com, or if you want to shoot me an email too, it's jason@doyouneedtosellfast.com.
Right on.
Awesome, brother. Jason. All right, thank you so much for this.
Yeah, I guess we'll be seeing you.
Thanks for having me on.
In a month and a half or something.
Yeah.
Go tear up Tennessee.
Yeah, we're ready for that.
Right on, man. Tell your wife we said, hey, brother, thanks again.
Will do. We'll see you guys later.
Take care.
See ya.
Bye-bye.